I was one of the people who spent some time at Stradishall after we arrived from Uganda. So we arrived on the 27th of September and spent some time with my family, which included one brother and two sisters, a younger sister, and the other two were older than me, and my mum and dad. I can't remember how long we were there, probably only about 10 days, 2 weeks, because my father got a job there in Peterborough, and we moved on from there. My parents had to leave all their valuables there, could take a suitcase and a few other things, and all the monies were still in the bank, and I can remember my mum saying basically we were told leave the door open so that people can go into your house and take whatever they want to. Personally, I just had a little blue marble and a magnet, which I still have somewhere and I can't find it, that was my prized possession, and I took that in my pocket with me. When we were in the airport, I got strip searched. Obviously they were looking to see if we did have valuables on us, and all I could show was my blue marble and my magnet. We were all given the option of becoming Ugandan citizens or leaving. Obviously we were already British subjects, so we had British passports, so my parents weren't going to change, and saw it as an opportunity rather than a problem. You know, 2 or 3 things I can remember. One was getting off the plane, and I was still in shorts and my knees were knocking as I got off the plane, thinking, wow, this is cold. And then being really pleased to get a coat like this from where they were giving clothes away. There were piles and piles of clothes in probably in the main administrative building, and being able to find one that was really warm and putting that on, so that was terrific. I can remember I loved the boiled eggs that they were doing, and eggs in general. So, and I can't remember the other food really. I'm not sure that I found. It doesn't stick in my mind as being horrible, but then you could, I suppose, live on eggs and bread and toast and whatever anyway, couldn't you, I think? Yeah. So, you know, my standard food at home would have been, home by that I mean in Uganda, would have been cornflakes and milk for breakfast anyway. And so the water was terrible. It was just awful. The food was okay, and obviously once you moved out and went into your own house, you ate what your mum made, and she was a terrific cook. In the camp, interestingly, we were there such a short time that my memories are, I can't ever remember going to a class. So I'm not even sure when the classes started, but I can't recall going to a class being taught by anyone. So I didn't go to school in the camp. My lasting memory, and even I've seen a letter from my grandfather of British water, is how awful and chemical it is. We just had a coach to take us from Stradishall to Peterborough, and we were shown around by a really nice lady, all the furniture, etc. Next door neighbour were a retired couple. The son was is probably a police inspector or something. They showed my mum how, and my parents really, how to light a fire, because we'd never seen coal, or lit a fire to warm yourself up. Showed us where the coal bunker was and how to order coal and things. So we had to be, the neighbours were fantastic. I think the support we got to integrate, the support from people our own age and the neighbours was terrific. I can't remember that one side was the the couple who were always really helpful and kept on coming around and just helping us adapt to it. On the other side, we were in a terraced house. The other side, I can't remember, and then the next house was an Italian family. Tony was my best friend, and again, he was another one who basically helped us integrate. It's interesting, thinking about things, and my wife remembers herself as well. She's English. We used to have icicles inside of the windows at night, in the morning, because it was cold. But the heating was, we didn't have central heating, which was the norm, and you just had the little fire that you had to light with the coal and clean it up and know how to clear it all up. So that was my life in Peterborough. I'm a professor of anaesthesia and intensive care at Manchester Royal Infirmary, probably about to retire soon, and I've been lucky that I'll go backwards, I think, lucky that I've had a really great career, 29 years as a consultant there, involved in a lot of teaching and education, and invited to go to many countries to teach. My sister lives in India. She had her first child in Peterborough, and then she moved. Unfortunately, he developed diarrhea and vomiting and died less than a year old. I've seen a fair bit of death, interestingly, so I don't know if, in Uganda it wasn't unusual to go and watch someone being killed. Maybe it was just me, but I've seen someone stoned to death, watched someone being stoned to death, someone being hacked to death with a hoe, a policeman standing over someone with all this blood splattered everywhere, with gunshots in his chest, and he was sort of standing over him like a trophy, and someone else who tried to jump across from one balcony to another and fell down and was down on the floor with blood splattered. So I've seen death and destruction. I'm not sure how it's affected me. I was talking to my brother. I said, what do you think about what's happened? And he says, all I can say is I'm really grateful to everyone who helped us. And so so I've no expectation. I don't expect anyone to help me. Therefore, I'm really grateful that people have, because you have no obligation to do anything for anyone else. If you want to, that's really great, but I shouldn't expect you to do something for me. And so we've been brought up with a feeling that you should actually do some good for other people. I did want to go back to Uganda. I talked to a few of the doctors there in Uganda, and had arrangements to teach in Kampala and in Jinja, where our hospital has some links with developing intensive care and obstetrics and other areas of medicine. And so I was kind of in the process of organising all the paperwork to go there in 2020, maybe 2021 at the latest. And obviously that's all fallen through, and I haven't managed to do anything to resurrect that, which would be, I'd love to go and do that. I think that would be one of my things to try and do. I think it's a project of marking 50 years is important for, as much for the people who helped us that arrived, as it is for other future generations. History is important. Reflecting on how small acts of kindness, which are in your gift, can make a big difference to other people's lives, and they can then generate benefits to even more people. I'd like to think I've taught so many doctors and nurses and other operating department people in this country as well as abroad, and if I'd not had the opportunity or the support to come here, if my family hadn't been given a furnished house by the Peterborough Council to settle down, I wouldn't be there, and I might not have helped that little kid who was going up and down in my drive. So there are consequences to everything we do, good consequences, and you need to remember that. And I think so that when it happens, as is, you know, Ukraine's another new example of what's happening, you'll realise that there are, if it's in your gift, helping other people will be beneficial to so many more people than just that one person. Would I have achieved what I did now? I think in hindsight, almost impossible to know where would I be now if we'd not been thrown out then. I was doing well at school. I was always top in class, and it would be surprised if I wasn't, by all my classmates and the teachers and everyone. I would have gone to a decent school. We would have done O-levels, because basically school was, the system of schooling in Uganda excuse me, was the same as UK. So we did have assembly. We did all stand in assembly before we started. We followed the Cambridge curriculum for education, for O-levels and A-levels. Makerere University was probably the best university in Africa at the time. Is also, Uganda was where some of the initial work on lymphoma was carried out, and some of the research done on some of these blood cancers was done in Uganda. So the schooling and education was decent there. My parents were, my dad was manager of Michelin tyres in Uganda. They did used to have, they also ran a motor parts store as well, my granddad did. So they would have pushed me into education. I think coming to the UK gave me more opportunities. And I think I would suggest that I would not be in this position now if I'd stayed in Uganda.